Today, I'm super excited to be interviewing a hugely inspirational world champion fighter. Canadian-born Dave Leduc is known as the king of Lethwei, the savage Burmese bare-knuckle boxing style where headbutts are allowed and the only way to win is by knockout. He is the first non-native to win the crown and has since dominated, so far being unbeaten. As formidable as he is in the ring, he is equally as kind and compassionate outside of it, and is now a vegan and an outspoken animal rights activist. I'm sure that you're going to love this fascinating interview. Dave, thank you for kindly taking the time to join me today. You're a massively inspirational guy, not only because of your athleticism and fighting ability in the ring, but because of the passionate way that you advocate for veganism as well. Quite the juxtaposition. I think my audience will get a lot out of this interview.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you so much.
If I must say, man, you're looking jacked. You're looking henched.
Thank you, kind sir. Thank you. We're trying to represent in all the different ways, fighting ability, muscularity. You can be alpha and you can be...
I like the name, man. I like the name because like we spoke off air, basically a hench, like I didn't even know the word, what he meant, but it's basically like, bulky, strong. And if you look at nature, there's a lot of hench herbivores, like, gorilla, I'm called the giraffe. It's not hench, but it's
I didn't know that.
It can kill lions. It can stampede lions.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You're teaching me some stuff.
I'll show you a video of that. Like two lions were biting the fucking leg of a giraffe, and she was just walking, didn't give a fuck, shook it off, then stepped over the lion, and then they flee. There were three or four lions or something at the end.
Badass giraffe. I would never have thought it.
and you know what's funny, Brett? They even shake they hit each other with their necks.
Yes, I've seen that. Yeah, they're savage.
But overall, the hench herbivore, we have the horse. We have the horse, also fucking strong.
Yeah, rhinos, elephants, the biggest, strongest, and longest-lived animals. None of them really fuck with me, not regularly anyway. So, as a lad, I was a massive martial arts fan. This is pre-internet days. I mean, I'm an old motherfucker now. But back then, I read all the books, all the mags, that I could find. I trained daily in several different styles. I was just vaguely aware of Lethwei. I think I heard of it once somewhere, and I think it just stuck in my head because I heard, that you use the headbutt, and that really, that really stuck with me. I'm guessing the vast majority of my audience are maybe not going to have heard of Lethwei just yet. So perhaps we should start there. What is it? What are the rules? And in my mind, this seems like the most brutal of the fighting arts. So what is it that sets it apart from, say, Thai boxing and other disciplines?
Yeah. So a lot of people in the UK, Thai boxing is very popular in the UK. People understand, like Myanmar is the neighboring country of Thailand. It used to be called Burma. Actually, I think you guys colonized it back in the days, right? It was a colonial.
You've got a lot to answer for.
It was still have the buildings, British colonial Burma, beautiful city. The buildings are now there's trees popping out of the white colonial buildings. It's pretty cool. Wow. A lot of Burmese speak English because of that era, broken down English, but it's still British is still there. But basically, it's 55 million people, and they even during that day when the Britain came and they saw they were fighting in a very brutal way with headbutts, and they were not using any gloves, between that era and then a dictatorship, it was in the shadow of the world, and then the sport did not go over the borders, and that's why, like, for example, Thailand was able to export its sport across the world, while Myanmar was like fucking stuck in a shadow of military,
Right.
But now it's opening to the world. Now it's until recently it was really open up. Now it's still going back to some kind of civil warfare. But I don't go too back into this. But just let you know, basically it's the traditional art of Myanmar is Lethwei, and there's they kept it for over 2,000 years old. So it's older than Thai boxing, older than all the other sports in Asia, most of them, and you can use your headbutt, which makes it very controversial. And yes, if you look on Wikipedia, they say it's the most brutal sport because it's the last sport in the world where you can use your head.
I think it's the most brutal one I've seen. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's nice because it's a natural weapon, and I'm all about like using your body as a tool. You're born with a head, I'm born with a head.
Yeah. When I used to coach self-protection, I would coach women, they're generally a little shorter than their attacker. They got, the crown into the face. It works. And I used to say that no one expects it. One night I was working on such a rough door. It was called Icon Nightclub. I actually saw 3 women throw headbutts. So that theory went out the window.
Well, that's funny you say that. Just to finish on this, basically, for people at home, it's not legal everywhere. It's not legal in Canada. It's not legal in my home country. That's why I had to leave and to go fight there. I fight in Japan. It's legal in a bunch of countries, but Myanmar is really where it's like a religion there. Like the grandmothers watch it. It's so popular and it's so it's very fun. Like I love to go to Myanmar just because that's like my second home. And just to I mean overall it's I don't plan to make it legal everywhere. The goal it's always going to be that niche, badass raw sport, right? Like you said, the woman. I always say. Sometimes most women are not as they don't have as much muscle as men, so you don't want to wrestle them, you don't want to grapple with them in a self-defense scenario. But I would suggest to do a headbutt right on the nose. It makes the eye water. It's a great self-defense tool. Which brings me, I want you to know if you agree with that, because I'm very exploring the philosophy of veganism and. I had an argument over the internet recently. Not me, but with my team, I was like, okay, tell them that. Basically, the fellow was saying that as a vegan, which we're basically approaching nonviolence, which is true. We're not violence, but he was basically saying that as a fighter, it was not good to fight. Well, I said, well, the key word here is consent. Consent.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah,
it's not exploitative. It's not cruel. You're going in there willingly for sport. Afterwards, you shake hands. No one's dead.
Paid.
Well, hopefully
not. Paid. We trained. It's a professional sport. And also, we're going to ban hockey. We're going to ban football. We're going to ban.
I think that's very short-sighted. We need to show that, a vegan can do anything and can be, for want of a better phrase, alpha. And if he wants veganism to succeed, he should be on board. And I think he's a complete tool for
that brought me to, I agree with you 100%. And it brought me to another thing. It was like, actually, I go further. You should be, as a vegan, I feel like we're protectors of the innocents, protectors of the weaker ones, right? So if we go about with that premise, therefore we should be able, if we can, as much as we can, to protect in a self-defense scenario. Like, okay, let's say we're together in the street and we see somebody, an elderly couple, getting beat up. Like, I would think, like, if we can, we should go help them. Me and you, we're going to go help them. So that means. Therefore, a good vegan should be able to defend himself or in order to defend others. So I'm going to go.
So much to it. Like people think, the muscles. Like I just think the better we look, the healthier we look, the more vital we are. And I've never thought of that before. But if we're capable in a fight and we can help people in that way, it all helps and it makes us look like a group that people want to become a part of. And if we're just miserable and angry and upset and unfit, out of shape, who the fuck is going to want to join that tribe?
Good point. Good point. I like the word tribe.
Herd animals. Just to get back to the Lethwei thing. So can we just go through like the rules, because it's quite unique, isn't it? You can only win by knockout. Is that still right? But the guy can, if he recovers within 2 minutes, you can go again. That's not the end.
Exactly. That's the controversial rule. I never had to use it. I'm thankful for that. But my opponents used it. So that means that if you knock out your opponent, they can if they want. And usually, if you're fighting Lethwei, you have big cojones. You want to take it. So you take that 2 minute. They call it the revival rule. Right. So then you have you're literally, your corner man can drag you to your corner if you're not knocked out in your corner, and they revive you. They can shake your head, pinch your ear, bite your ear.
I heard you say that on the Joe Rogan podcast. I can believe it either.
It's insane.
That'll wake you up. If anything's going to wake you up.
Ice in the pants. And then you have like a minute. Let's say the first minute you wake up and now you're like, okay, now you go back to the fight. And I have to give props to one of my, we had a trilogy together, Burmese, Tuntu Min. He actually, I knocked him out.
He was your second, he was the openweight champion. Yeah.
It was our third fight together, and basically I knocked him out. But thankfully for him, I knocked him out in his corner, so they didn't have to drag him. He was literally in his corner, and he was out for about a minute. But then he had a minute to get back to his senses and then go back to the fight, and he ended up actually finishing the fight 4 rounds together because I knocked him out in the first round. So it's that's the controversial part in traditional rules. But everywhere in the world, headbutts are going to be allowed, and nobody's going to water down that beautiful ancestral sport.
Yeah. So if anyone says that a vegan is a wimp, I think this has got to disprove it, hasn't it? It's got to.
I know a lot of meat eaters that are wimp. I know a lot of them. So that's a bullshit argument. I know most of the guys that I know that are wimps are meat eaters, because I don't know a lot of people that are vegan in my circle. So therefore, so meat eaters are a lot of them are wimp, especially if they drink milk with a lot of estrogen, with a lot of of them. So
drinking that titty milk, that's not going to do it as baby food.
Yeah.
What is it about Lethwei that appealed to you more than all other sports? Is it the fact that it is so extreme?
Yeah, good question. It's because I guess I always was a black sheep when I was younger. I always was wanted to be the outcast, wanted to be different. I never wanted to be like everybody else. I was like the not troublemaker, but I was talking a lot at school. Almost got kicked out of. I was always talking. I didn't like school, and basically, I always try to find the unpaved path. And when I saw a video of Lethwei, I'm like, man, this is so cool. This is so different. I like to be different because I feel like normal sucks. Fuck normal, and life is too short to be normal. So let's be different. Let's be ourselves. And everybody was going to one path. I was going the other way. So when I saw that everybody was, either fighting Muay Thai or MMA, I'm like, fuck. I mean, it's cool. I love these sports. They're great sports. But I'm like, I want to be different. So, and I saw Lethwei, man, this is what I'm going to do. This is my fucking calling.
That is brave, man. That is proper alpha.
And I didn't care how brutal it was. I'm like, man, this is even cooler. I guess I happen to have a pain threshold that's probably higher than most people, and I have a lot of childhood traumas, which I don't mind getting hurt. It's all honestly, everything is childhood. Everything comes from childhood, or taste, or preference in food, or preference in sexual partners, or preference in everything comes from childhood. And I somehow kind of enjoy pain, maybe.
Yeah, I think you've got to do that for a living. It didn't take you many fights to become champion. What was your Lethwei experience before going in, and how did it all kind of play out?
Yeah, like I said on the Joe Rogan podcast, Lethwei was illegal in Canada, still is, and I don't think it will ever be legalized. So being a Canadian kid, and I saw these videos of Lethwei, I'm like, I want to do this. And then I said, there's no way I could fight there. So I started doing headbutts with my coach in Canada in the cold of minus 25 degrees, minus 30 degrees Celsius. We're doing, doing
headbutts. Britain was bad.
Oh, you haven't seen Canadian cold,
Yeah.
We have sometimes minus 35, and it's disgusting. That's cold.
I can't imagine.
So I'm never going to live that again. I'm never going back to the cold like that. So to answer your question, I was doing headbutts, man. I was doing a lot of bare knuckle back sessions. So you go in the back, you practice your wrist so it doesn't collapse when you punch. It doesn't collapse because we're used to having a great glove here that prevents your wrist from collapsing. So if you punch bare knuckle, for people at home, you get used to having a stiff wrist, and also you build up these knuckles, So I was doing this, but then. That's the other problem. How the fuck do I go to Myanmar? It was a dictatorship at the time, or barely coming out of the shadow. And then I get a call, oh, man, you want to go to Thailand? I'm like, well, as a Canadian, no visa. I get a 30-day visa on arrival. It was very easy to go there, and it's neighboring to Myanmar. I'm like, well, if I build my name up, maybe I'm going to get a call to go fight in Lethwei one day.
Sneaky.
That's what happened. Yeah.
Nice. I like your style.
So, but Thailand was not my first choice. I always wanted my end goal, my end game was always to go fight in Lethwei. But man, I had to be sneaky to find a way to get there. And
that's clever.
Yeah.
How come? I heard about the prison fight thing, where and that's mad. So murderers and people can get reduced sentences if they win their prison Thai boxing matches, and you went in that prison willingly to fight them. What kind of a madman are you, Dave?
Like I say, a lot of childhood traumas, man. I feel like in my philosophy, you know, we're all gonna die one day, and let's live like the most exciting life we can live. If that's what you want, that's your prerogative. Some people say, well, if we're gonna die, might as well do nothing. That's also fine. Nothing really matters as long as you don't do bad around you, you know. And I enjoy pushing my limit, challenging myself, and as a young martial artist at the time, I got the opportunity to go fight in prison. Man, I'm writing a book about this with my team right now. It's going to be pretty sick. There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of stories behind that. But then I go there and I fight this guy. He was 100 fights. I had 10 at the time. He had 100 fights. He was a you know, they're prisoner that did bad choices. They ended up in prison, but they're still fighters. And he was tough. We did 3 rounds together. I cut him up so bad on his. Do you know the movie Stephen King, Carrie? The Carrie. Yes. He was like Carrie.
They haven't seen.
Yeah, I always say that. That's what I reminded me. And I remember, man, we were not testing for blood tests at the time, so. I was like, I had his blood in my mouth. I had like, and you know, I'm like, fuck. And thankfully I have nothing. I tested it afterwards. But prior to get that fight, I didn't have money. Like I didn't do a blood test. He didn't do a blood test. He's in the prison. I could have HIV, you know, like, So, but yeah, it was insane. It was 3 rounds of battle inside the prison ward. In outside, so it was and we had 1,000 prisoners watching us with fucking murderous eyes. My guy was there for methamphetamine trafficking, meth. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Insane. Crazy. So that was, and then actually that's a great question because that's why I got into Lethwei. The promoter from Prison Fight got me to Lethwei. Right.
So that was your in. So that was kind of serendipity, like what do they call it? Like synchronicities.
Yeah.
Very good.
Somehow it worked well like that, but
I love all of that. Okay, so you had a few Thai boxing matches.
Yeah.
And so then you got your first Lethwei fight, but very quickly you fought for like the cruiserweight and then the open.
No, I fought for the 75 kilogram, which there's no really name for it, but it's just like, I guess it's welterweight, but 75 kilogram, that's 165 pounds.
Yeah.
So I fought for that's more my weight. That would be my better weight for fighting.
And this guy was the champion that you fought?
Yeah, he was a champion.
And that was straight off the bat.
Yeah, because there was a last minute replacement. The guy canceled because he was like
scared.
I think he had second guessed about fighting Lethwei. Yeah, and fuck. So they asked me like, man, we need to fight. You're fighting like right now, and it's gonna be against Tutu, who's the champion at 75. I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. And sometimes it happened like that. I fucking did a brilliant fight for 5 rounds. I didn't knock him out, but I bloodied him up. He didn't touch me, so it was really like a master class of and then like. So I really like dominated the 75 kilogram champion. They're like, do you want to challenge the open weight guy? I'm like,
how many you had? Did you have any Lethwei fights before this fight?
No.
That is crazy.
To be fair, like even when I came to Thailand the first time years before, I never fought Muay Thai in my life, and I did my first pro Muay Thai fight in a ring against a big hench South Korean guy, you know, and I was very skinny at the time. I still beat him up, so I didn't even know what Muay Thai was much. I never trained Muay Thai, and I went to Thailand and I fought Muay Thai. You know, but yeah,
and they do that since like as a kid, don't they? Like just daily mad training.
EMR, so. It's even worse because they're like generational Lethwei fighter. Their fathers were like headbutt masters. They're fucking used to fighting bare knuckle. It's a different war. It's a different thing. But the beauty of this is that compared to, I don't know if your followers are known martial art, but like in Muay Thai, for example, there's a lot of there's a big scoring system, so it's mostly about winning the exchanges, and a lot of the fights go to the distance, and they get decision, right? Yeah. In Lethwei, they don't care. There's no point system. It's like you said earlier, it's KO to win. So you don't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter if you go to the end. If there's no knockout, it's a draw. Yeah. But if you knock him out, that's the KO to win rule. You win, and so that means, just follow my thought here. That means that if there's no scoring system, it doesn't matter what you land as long as you inflict maximum damage. That's why I was able to, because my philosophy was Jeet Kune Do, which is like Kung Fu, was always to like inflict damage, street fight style. So Lethwei was perfect for that. I never said like, I'm the most aesthetic fighter. I don't give a fuck. It's about inflicting damage, and that worked. My style worked very well for Lethwei.
That's got to make it super exciting to watch, that you're both just wanting to like smash and like knock out. So that's got to be the most exciting thing. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I had to adapt fast, man, because that second fight was for the belt, another draw. But then, fuck you, if you want to, you have to catch up for 100 fights or 70, 80 fights. You're at your first fight. You have to catch up. You have to adapt fast. Okay, what am I doing wrong? You know. Yeah,
it's almost unbelievable. It's such an amazing story. What a life.
He's in a clinch here, right? And in Muay Thai, like, or other things, you don't have to worry about this because you just punch. But now I'm holding his hand, and then he does a headbutt. I'm like, what the fuck? So now you have to put your hand here. So then if he headbutts you, it doesn't cut you. So it changes the style completely. You have to be aware of the head. You cannot just do a clash of head like this. You have to protect, or you have to really press against each other. Yeah. It changes the style completely. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you've beaten the 75 key champion and the second ever fight. And then was it immediately you went to the openweight champion to fight?
Yeah. At the end of the fight, they went to my room and they're like, okay, you're if you want, you're challenging, you can challenge the openweight fighter. I'm like, fucking let's do it.
So 3 fights and you're fighting the biggest, strongest guy in the country.
Yeah. Yeah, second fight I challenged him, and it was a massive draw. It was all around the country. The stadium was like a gladiator. It's like this, so it's like a ring in the middle, and then you have the high seats. Like it was jam packed. They were refusing people, and I was like, "Fuck!" I'm in Burma. I'm Myanmar. I'm in the middle of Burma. I don't have an English speaking cornerman. I don't know anybody here. They flew me here with my Iranian friend, and I'm there, and they all want him to knock me out with a head, but they all want me, and he's a tough motherfucker. You're really enemy territories at the time. I wasn't adopted by them at the time yet. I was still like, so let me just say, you're like, okay, so. If you might die here, bro. Like you might fucking die, And so there's been deaths in Lethwei back in the days. So
it has. I was going to ask. Yeah,
especially with a 2-minute timeout break. You get knocked out once, and then you get knocked out again.
Yeah, that's not good for the old grey matter, is it? And so, pardon my ignorance, because I've had to really try and learn your career in one day.
And I'm impressed. Yeah, I'm impressed.
Thank you. So, did you win that fight, or was that a draw?
So yeah, if you want, the first fight open weight was a draw,
right?
And second one, and then we challenged again, and then I won the belt.
So did you have a fight in between, or was it your 4th fight?
It was my 3rd fight. I won the belt.
Wow! And you're the top champ. How did we were talking about this before we started. Myanmar, is that how we say from Myanmar?
We call them Burmese. Yeah, Burmese people.
How did they react to a foreigner beating their top guy?
Yeah. Well, thankfully, that's a great question, man. Thankfully, I really showed my respect, and I really, honestly, genuinely felt at home, brother. I felt at home. They were giving me gifts.
Nice.
They were so smiling, so happy that we're there. Winning the belt, it was mixed emotion. I can feel there was half the stadium was screaming happiness because some of them did not like the champion, but the other side was completely silent, and they could not believe that was like, what the fuck is happening?
That must have felt like death or something.
Yeah, but you know what would have been worse is if I went back to Canada and like, okay, I won the belt and that's it. No, I really showed them. I literally tell them, look, guys, I'm here to help. I'm here to stay. I'm going to help. I'm going to bring eyes to your country, and this is going to bring economic growth to your country. Nice. So they really like that. And to answer your question, what did they say? Well, 2 days after the fight, I got married in Myanmar. And that was the biggest part that was the catapult to the country, because you just win the belt. I still have stitches on my eye. And then they're like, well, you're getting married because I proposed to my wife, and we're saying, well, you can get married in Myanmar if you want. And they said, well, if you want, we're going to do it on live television. And that's 50 million people, 30 million. I think it was 30 million people watching.
Right. Tens of millions. Yeah, so now all of a sudden you're famous overnight.
overnight they have your.
And that's their national sport, you said.
Yeah.
Wow, I can't imagine. However, I'd like to, we'll put a pin in it for now, but I want to ask you how you kind of dealt with this sudden fame. Let's talk about that in a bit, though. That's really interesting. I can't imagine. So, sorry, I skipped forward. I was just going to ask, because I think you said about you really took on their culture, and that's why perhaps that they took to you so easily. Did you do is it Lecamon? Did you do that in your fight? Yeah. So that's for people at home. That's the challenging. You slap 3 times. That is so intimidating.
This is basically, it comes from the eagle. The flapping of the wings. You flap your wings to engage and to challenge in combat. And most foreigners that fought in Lethwei, there's a lot of them in every different countries with very little success. And they never really embraced the culture when they go there. They were doing other symbols, or they were bringing their own flags. I really like, you know what, I'm going to go there. I'm going to show them that, like, I really love their sport, which I did. It was my dream come true. And I did my Likamun. Usually you do it before the fight, brother. You do it before the fight to challenge your opponent, right? Yeah. And then if you win the fight, you do it as a dance, as a winning dance. Like but the key thing that nobody knew is that you can do it during the fight. And I watched old tapes of Lethwei prior to my first fight with the open weight fella. And I saw that sometimes the traditional Burmese guys were doing it in the fight. Like, let's say you punch me, I'm like, that's all you got? That's all you got? You know?
Come at me, bro. It's basically the Mayan Burmese come at me. Yeah,
exactly. So basically I did that in the fight, and the crowd went fucking crazy. They're like, because, you know, we're in the middle of the exchanges, and then I do the Lekamun. They're loving it. They're like, and then it's customary that your opponent has to give it to you back. Like, so it's all cultural. It's all cool.
That's nice. That's nice, man. I like that.
It's 2,000 years old symbol, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
So as we were then about to say, so now you're super famous, and so I imagine like you'd be mobbed like just trying to walk down the street. Since you've also been on TV, been in films, been on the Rogan podcast, as we said, how have you found it suddenly having to cope with this high degree of fame? How is that?
Well, good question. At first, it was mostly for the first months, it was in Myanmar only, but in my hometown, of course, people knew me. But like at first, before it sinks in, and before like the newspaper, started talking about it, and there was a lot of coverage. It took a few weeks, a few months, especially after winning the belt. It was, I think, winter was coming, so Christmas was there, New Year's. So, but like in 2017, then I started like defending the belt. My first 3 fights in 2017 was in Japan, which was also another dream come true. Back to back. 3 times in Tokyo, which is like the mecca of fighting world in the fighting world, Tokyo. Yeah. So then it started to sink in, and then the sport is also growing because you're fighting in not only in Myanmar, you're fighting in Tokyo, which the early day UFC fighters, Pride was there, Pride FC, K1 was from there as well. So it was interesting, it was fun, but to be honest, like my mentality has changed a lot over time. Like I really don't care about either positive or negative attention. I don't give a fuck. At the end of the day, I just see it as a tool to bring my message, a positive message. And now, at first it was to just help my adoptive country to help them bring eyes. But now my message is that plus veganism and spreading the world. So I loved it. See, we can't spit on attention. You can't spit on fame, because with that you have more eyes, and I liked it because whatever I want to spread, I can spread easier.
Yeah, influence is the word, isn't it? Yeah. And when we do that, we use that for positive. That's really beautiful. When you're kind of in fight mode, how grueling is your weekly training schedule? Like, how many hours do you put in? How many days? What types of training do you have to do? What's that like?
Well, I'm a big proponent of the sternocleidomastoid muscle, the the big neck. Yeah, you have it too. A lot of people don't train it. They train only their biceps, their traps.
I would do crunches with weight off the end of a bench with weight over a towel and some plates. Just from a martial arts background, I think, just to So you can take
amazing. You're one of the few ones that do it. I'm happy that another fellow Hench Herbivore does it.
I'll be a giraffe too.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a bit more. But the thing is basically this. For those who don't know, it's that's a big part of my training, because if you get punched, the what absorbs the impact is not the jaw. You know, this guy's a glass jaw, or this lad has a weak chin. It's not the chin, it's the neck. And the neck is composed of a big group of muscle called the sternocleidomastoid, and obviously the traps are combined with this as well. So I'm not looking for mass. For me, I'm looking for nervous, a lot of nerve endings strong, and because for me, so just to answer your question, like basically a lot of training regimen combined with cardio and sparring and pad. I want to be able to last a long time, 5 rounds if ever. And I noticed that the more mass I had, for example, if in off times, or if ever I was back in the days, I was a bit chubbier, like I was, and I was like not able to last as long. Yeah. And the more mass you have, sometimes it takes more oxygen to oxygenate these muscles, right? So so I felt like at my weight, I have the best like balance. I'm able to have a lot of strength with longevity, right? So yeah. Because I fought like we spoke off air. I fought heavy weights, and I'm only 175 pounds, I believe. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think, is it 170? Yeah, 173, 175 pounds. So I fought guys, 200 plus, 200 pounds. And at the end of the day, I felt like they were getting tired at the 4th round or something. I guess
so quickly, When I was a doorman, I like to finish fights quick.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of it, right? You don't have to last it long. Come here, motherfucker.
When you hit someone, like they know they've been hit.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Once or twice it's been a mass brawl and it's dragged on, and I'm starting to think maybe I should work on my conditioning a bit more.
Yeah, but exactly. But I'm sure you use your power for good work.
Yeah, I think with the beauty of me was I spent 12 years doing martial arts almost daily, and then I got into bodybuilding, and I was like 136 kilos at my heaviest. So people thought I was going to be as slow as fuck. But I had that because my muscles were used to striking, and so that's the key to train, but also like keep some shadow boxing in there, some training in there, or muscle memory as a fighter. That's good. Yeah, exactly. So you turned vegan about a year and a half ago, is that right?
Yeah, now it's exactly a year and a half.
It was a year and a half. What prompted that?
Well, that's a great question. My wife, funny enough, while I was in Asia, my wife a couple times was talking to me about, I want to go vegetarian, and I didn't even know what it meant. I thought it was I didn't even know it was including milk or something. And I come from a household that eats a lot of meat, a lot of milk. I used to actually drink a pint of milk at every meal. Me too. I did 6 a day at one point. Six pint or glasses?
6, what we call pints. Yeah, like liter. This kind of size, like half.
Okay. I was doing like a liter of milk every day.
Wow. So more than me.
Like water. It was like water.
That's crazy.
Yeah. At a meal, I didn't drink water. I was just drinking milk all the time, and it was looking back. I'm surprised I don't even have prostate cancer yet. Like, what the fuck? But good, for people that don't know, milk can lead to breast and prostate cancer. So anyway, so to answer you, basically, my wife was saying this, and coming from that indoctrinament from society, and coming from this like, you're a fighter, you need to be strong, or those, you need to eat meat. I remember watching videos, publicities, the double quarter pound was dropping on the table. Like that's the man, a real man.
Yeah.
What was that? Was that CBD?
CBD oil. Yeah. Are you a fan?
Yeah, I love it. I can't have it in Turkey here, man.
Is it illegal?
Yeah.
No
I used
way.
to drink it every day.
I'm a massive fan. Yeah, I'm affiliated with this company, and I've been on the maximum dose for like 2 years, and it's so good for me. Yeah. And I just don't like to forget it. I felt a bit rude doing it right now, but I don't want to forget.
It's good. I mean, I'm envious of you. I wish I had. I used to drink it every day before sleep, and it was making me sleep like a baby. Fuck yeah.
Well, they do deliver. I mean, whether that'll get, I don't suppose that'd get sniffed out of customs. I can't imagine they're looking for it, but they do deliver worldwide.
Yeah.
So
It depends where, but here they're very picky, especially with THC. It's prison probably. So
right. So perhaps you don't need that.
No, fuck it. I'll just do cold hot bottle. But like, man, I really support CBD use. I never actually smoked weed in my life. I never smoked weed, but I'm a supporter of CBD and THC for. So
it's a plant, isn't it? Like, the whole foods plant-based diet. These are medicines. They really are.
Yeah.
And natural.
Absolutely. I agree. We spoke about the what made the change. So then I was and she was actually tried to eat vegetarian in front of me for a few meals, but I was like, I was very no, you should eat some chicken, you should eat some meat.
Yeah.
I basically turned her away from that that idea. I wasn't educated at the time, and basically she started again. I said, no, let's do meat. You can do it, but I'm going to eat meat because I'm a fighter, right? I need that in order to be strong and But then what really made it, we were open to it. I was open to reducing my meat. At one point, we were like, okay, we're only going to do fish and less meat. I was open to it. But what really was the nail on the hammer was the movie. Actually, a friend of mine, I was in Copenhagen, and he's like, man, did you see the movie? What movie? He's like, it's called Game Changers. I'm like, I don't know. He's like, well, yeah, I'm actually, man, like I stopped eating meat for like a little while now, for like a month. And I'm actually like in the bedroom, man, I'm feeling very strong. I'm like, what? It's like, really, does it affect, like, we're not old, I mean, even if it doesn't affect it, that's just an added bonus down the road. But it just sparked my interest. And I looked it up with my wife with an open mind. We were, and after the movie, we looked at each other like, "Are we doing this?" Because it was compelling. Wow. It was like, and we looked at, okay, I think we have to do it.
Yeah. It was
the
same for me and my partner Gemma. She went whole foods plant-based for her health. She has a thyroid disorder, and she was really thriving. And she looked at all the data on like health and longevity and disease. And she just saw the more animals we eat, the quicker we succumb to the disease of affluence, cancer, diabetes, heart disease. And I was eating 500 grams of animal protein a day at a time. And she just looked scared and said, you need to change. I read it and I thought, fuck yeah, you're right, aren't you?
Wow. No, that's amazing to hear, man. And especially for women. Like I was laughing the other day. There was like this awareness month for breast cancer, and I wanted to come out and just say, guys, stop the fucking bullshit to post about breast cancer awareness when all of you girls are eating cheese, yogurt, milk, dairy in your diet. If you really care about breast cancer, well, you should fucking remove dairy from your diet. It
drives you crazy. When you see like the Cancer Society saying, oh, let's do a sponsored barbecue. Like not only does that food give you cancer, the fumes like can give you cancer. So it's like they want you to have cancer. And then you're paying money to like pharmaceutical giants who they're the richest people in the world. They don't need a fucking charity. It's like they're just laughing at us and we just fall for it. We just have these stupid coffee mornings with cake with sugar and dairy and
people wake up. People are waking up slowly. It's videos like that, podcasts like that. That's helping slowly. Like I was a meat eater for 28 years, brother. Like probably same as you for a while as well. And
like 37 years for me. Historically, the people with all the money, like big agriculture, pharmaceutical giants, they were kind of in control of media, weren't they? But now we all have a voice. We all have our platforms.
Good point. I didn't think about that. That's a great angle. Yeah, I think you're right. It's because we have the power now. We can make our own media. You can make your own media. Good angle. And what's scary is that not so scary. What people need to understand, and if they're like impatient, because I'm impatient, I'm one of them. I'm vegan. I want everybody to help animals. I want everybody to be healthier. It's a selfless thing. I don't give a fuck. I'm doing it for me. It's not for me. It's I want people to be healthy as well. I want my friends and family to be healthy. But if it doesn't go as fast as we wish it would, it's because it's years and years and years of indoctrination, of publicity, of billions of dollars, and a very established economy around dairy, around milking and exploiting animals. I'm obviously big on the ethical part now. The diet and the health, it's covered for me. I got it. It's understandable. But now I'm like, I want to advocate for the animals, for the voiceless, right?
Nice, and I'd like to get onto that. I'll just put a pin in that for now, because I just want to finish up what we were talking about. But I'd like to get onto that. I'm very interested to hear how that came into your consciousness. That's very cool. So how were you eating? So previously a fighter, I guess you were eating like some good, probably whole plant foods, but also a lot of meat, dairy, fish, that sort of thing.
I was not the biggest meat eater. I was eating a lot of like, I like poke bowls at the time. I was eating fish, poke bowls. My wife was doing a lot of rice with vegetables. That's true. Some chicken back in the days. But a lot of I was doing a lot of carbs, because I didn't have to wait. I didn't have to cut weight. So it was like a lot of rice. I love rice. And, I was not looking to be aesthetically, like I didn't really care. I wanted to be fueled. And, but yeah, obviously there was meat in it. And, I was doing a lot of ice cream, like one pot of ice cream. I replaced my milk from ice cream. I was doing Häagen-Dazs or something like every
to
day.
Get the calories in kind of thing.
I guess I'm a sugar bug. I guess.
You just liked
it. I guess there was calories in there too, but I was somehow being still losing weight by training and eating
so you're training really hard. Yeah. And so how have you been eating since the switch? Are you quite whole foods heavy? What kind of foods 100%. Like? What kind of meals? And how's your supplementation as well?
Okay, great question. Well, we actually were wondering if we should go to Florida move to Florida from Turkey, because they had more option. These like big like gooey burgers and like very, very transformed ice cream and desserts and burger. But then we're like, well, we're gonna do this, but then after a couple, we're gonna feel like shit. Yeah. And we're not going to want to eat that every day. We're going to go back to our whole food plant-based. So we decided, you know what? Because we don't want these transformed plant-based burgers and all these things to be a staple in your diet. So we decided to stay here. And, if wherever we have a craving, we can go to UK. There's a lot of vegan junk food in UK. We can just travel and get the craving out, right? I'm sure.
Get it out of your system. So you're eating a lot of whole foods. What particular foods do you entirely whole foods? Wow.
Yeah, only that, because there's nothing here in Turkey. So
I've been to Turkey, and it was a struggle. Whereabouts you? We were in Leduc. Do you know it?
No, I'm in Antalya, south of Turkey.
Right.
I don't know. It's one of the biggest coastline in Europe.
Right.
It's massive. And for example, in the morning I fast. You're not going to be happy for me, because you probably don't do that, because you need more calories. But I actually fast. You can't bulk with my diet, because I fast. Let's say I go to sleep at 1 a.m. for example. Then I wake up at. I sleep a lot. That's good. So I sleep until like 11, let's say. So I sleep a lot.
Wow.
And then I would drink a big glass of water in the morning. My first meal would be at like 12. Okay. Mm-hmm. So probably, and then after that I would go training for 3 hours. I do like, to answer your question earlier, I do one training. It's like one training a day. I like to get in one time, not 2 sessions. And I train for it's pad session, running, weights at the end. It's not from, it's high reps, shoulders. Like I do hundreds. I do neck a lot. It's a lot of high reps to lean, not to bulk for me.
Yeah.
And then I'm exhausted at the end. And then I go for my second meal at the end of that, with sometimes now I have this, I didn't do it before, but now I have this like vegan protein. There's no whey, obviously. So non-dairy vegan protein. And I do that, just one scoop at the end of my training. And then I would eat, for example, tonight we're going to eat like rice with vegetables. And it's very whole food. Like we do, we tofu, sometimes like scrambled tofu. Is that tofu is considered whole food as well? Or
it's technically not a whole food. The whole food would be like the soybean, but on the scale of things, like it's minimally processed. It's got good stuff taken out, like fiber and maybe half of the minerals, but it's got nothing bad added in. So yeah, it is processed, but I eat some, and I think in the context of an otherwise whole foods plant-based diet, it's probably not going to kill you. It's just not as nutritious as obviously what it displays.
Okay.
Is the only thing.
It's just not as nutritious as I see what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's the diet. So I would 2 big meals a day, and a lot of water, and 1 big training a day. So that's my thing, and it's it's not too. I'm maintaining the same weight, right? I'm maintaining, and if I'm not careful, I actually will gain weight with these two meals. So
no issues there. And you take a protein supplement now. What other supplements do you take?
We have this liquid B12 that we do. And under the tongue, and I have a thing that I love the taste. My wife hates it, but I love the taste. It's this nutritional yeast from Turkey here.
Vegan crack, we call it. Vegan crack.
Oh yeah, it's delicious. I pour that shit on my rice. I mix the rice together, and it's I think there's minerals and B12 in it as well. But I love
the B12 is only a fish supplement, and actually a lot of people think that there is very dense in B vitamins. It's basically single-celled mushrooms, so it's very dense in B vitamins, but the B12 needs to be fortified. But it generally is in there, isn't it? In a lot of them.
Okay. Well, to be honest, to continue on this, my goal, brother, is I'm buying a big land here in Turkey, and I want to build a sanctuary for animals, right? Wow. And I want to grow my own vegetables. So the goal would be to not wash my vegetables and actually get the B12 from the roots, right? Wow. So that would be my end goal.
Sounds amazing. Yeah, I would love to hang out with animals all day. That is super cool.
Well, you'll be our guest. You'll be our guest for sure.
Oh, thank you. I would love to come. I would love to come and work some pads with you. I've not done any martial arts for years because I felt like I got a few injuries. I felt like my physique is the best use of me to advocate because I'm not going to be a world champion, fighter, but I can look good I'd love to hit some pads again. I miss it. I used to work headbutts on pads years ago. I used to include all of them because I think you need all the tools. When fights happen, often it's in close, isn't it? And you need to be aware and
to add what you're saying, brother, like the fighting career for me, or like the professional sport career for somebody else, it's only a finite part of your life. The other part is being healthy and feeling good in your body. Some people, so to what you're saying, who cares? You're not going to be for a fighter or whatever. It doesn't matter. Like you're able to protect people at home. You're able to protect your partner. You're able to feel good. You're able to feel confident. So I really think, because I would be okay retiring right now. To be honest, I'm really in a special part in my head right now. Like I hate the system. I hate how society is turning. I hate a lot of things about society. There's also positive things, but I don't want to be part of that system as much as I can. I want to be self-sustainable. And if that means that I'm not fighting, and well, so be it. And if I'm not fighting, obviously I'm going to keep training, right? Like you're saying, you're not fighting and you're not doing any, you're not going to the Olympics, but you're training and you're feeling strong, you're feeling good. And that's what fucking matters. People are watching this podcast right now. They're not, 1% is going to maybe fight professionally. The other ones are going to be hobbyists, which is real life. This real life. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, love it. Just getting back to the nutrition, have you noticed any changes in your sports performance or ability to recover since the switch, either positive or negative?
I would say at first switching, which maybe it was placebo in my head. I was so scared because I wanted to obviously I wanted to be successful, and I wanted to be good. So I was like scared to what is it going to be on my body? What is it going to be on my performance in the pads, right? So basically, I remember initially, and I'm very transparent. Initially, I think the first month of changing, I didn't know how my diet. I didn't know how to do the proper diet. We're just eating whatever we could. It was a bit everywhere. Maybe we were lacking some stuff. I don't know, but we're just eating a bunch of stuff because we're not researched. I remember feeling a bit tired at the beginning of my first training as a vegan. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's because also I was like traveling the world. That's
going to take its toll, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I was very tired. I didn't sleep well. I didn't sleep well. I think there was a transition. My body was like, bro, you've been putting these heavy metals with the fish. You've been putting all these body. I think there was a detox period. That's how I approach it. That's how I think. And then I was starting eating that. At first I was not supplementing in B12. I was not. And now I feel fucking powerful. I feel so good. And I feel, David Rams asked me the question the other day, basically saying, what's the difference? Well, what I can say is that honestly, there's no difference in my training, and there's no difference in my life anymore at all, except I do feel like I have more longevity, more cardio. And that's what I think it's because my arteries are not potentially clogged with fatty deposits anymore. So the blood flows faster, and I do feel like I can go for longer in the pads. I do feel like but apart from that, like, I don't feel like I have more power. I was always strong. Yeah. I don't feel like, and that's how it should be in my book. I'm like, well, I'm not changing anything. I'm just not abusing from bad things. Right. I don't know. I didn't think, I'm going to go to a vegan diet and I'm going to be able to you're going to be able to lift the world record and bench press. Yeah. It doesn't mean that. It just means that you're going to be healthy. You're going to live a healthier life, away from any harm from innocent animal, of course, but also you're going to live a better, like, your overall health, less prone to diseases, less prone to cancer, less prone to all these things. So for me, that's the plus. And but I do feel like I have more cardio.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I hear that a lot from with strength and physique athletes. They kind of say no real difference, but yeah, endurance-based athletes, often I hear that they can go longer and harder. I think it's the extra carbs. I think, as you say, you're not tightening your arteries down with the saturated fats and things, and I guess maybe the atherosclerosis. And
which one say they don't have any difference?
Sort of there's strength and physique athletes, so like bodybuilders and powerlifters and things.
Did you feel a difference?
Well, for me, what I will say is I felt more energized. Like when I used to train, I would come home and like fall asleep, and now I feel like I could train for longer. It didn't make any difference to my ability to grow muscle, but I just in myself,
this is the misconception, right? This is the misconception, the ability to grow muscle.
Yeah, no difference whatsoever. But health-wise, my eyesight is more than twice as strong as it was before I started. My theory is it's maybe atherosclerosis, or at least the clamping down of the blood vessels that feed the eyes, from the saturated fats. And I think, of course, blood, like oxygen, nutrients not getting to the eyes, they're going to deteriorate. And now I think these blood vessels are opened up. And this came out in a national newspaper or online, on the Mail Online. And so many other vegans said, me too, me too, me too, me too. There's been no study on it, but I hear a lot of vegans saying when they eat whole foods plant-based, their eyesight improved.
Interesting. So I didn't see a difference because I have 20/20. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Stop showing off. You're not an old man like me. Your day will come.
But I hope not. But I didn't know that. That's interesting. Okay. So I hope that answers the question about this. But like, to be honest, I think the overall is training is the same. Which honestly, if I knew that from the get-go years ago, it would break the barrier. It would break the misconception. That's all you want to know, because people don't want to. They just want to. If they switch, they want to know, if I switch, am I going to be as good as a fighter? Am I going to be as good as an athlete? And the answer is yes. So that's it. You don't need like, it's not because you're not going to become like Popeye because you do this. Well, technically, in a health sense, yes. But like, I just want to be the same athlete. I want to be as good as I am, and if I can be healthier, that's it. So yeah,
it's amazing. Win. Historically, of course, meat eating has been synonymous with manhood, which we've kind of touched on. What would you say to any young guys who are watching this and would like to make the switch, but perhaps they're scared of the effects that it might have on health or performance, or other guys like ridiculing or attacking them? What would you say to a young man?
So I'm going to tell them, listen to this carefully. In a world that is cruel, the kindest and the manliest thing you can do is to be kind to other sentient, innocent animals. So that's right off the bat. If you want to be a real man, you protect the weak ones. You don't kill them. You don't exploit them. You don't rape them. You don't artificially breed them. You don't drink their milk. You don't kidnap their babies. That's not what a man do. That's what a coward does. Yeah, so if you want to be a real man, you show you show real strength, and you protect the oppressed. That's first. And if you want to also synonym of manhood is a good direction. And if you right now you might be 20 years old, you might be 30, you might be 40, you might be 50 years old, doesn't matter. But I have an hypothesis that, even for example, like here in Turkey and a lot of meat eating countries, which is probably are all around the world. Mm-hmm. Most men eventually they become impotent over age when they, I don't know, 70, I don't know what age, but they engrave that in their head that when you're going to get old, you're going to need Viagra, right? Big pharma they want to make money. And when you're also like, they know it's normal. Like, but what if we're becoming impotent because we're eating all that fucking meat all the time and all that milk and all that fat and all that butter and all that keto diet all our life, and then it takes a toll on our body over time, and then you become impotent over. But what if you're vegan, your arteries are not going to be clogged? Because a lot of the thing that also I saw online is that the smaller arteries are going to get clogged first. So the smaller arteries, your brain are a bit bigger, and then your dick is going to get clogged first. And usually after that is for example, the stroke or the blood or the heart vessels. So a big precursor, a lot of cardiologists say that a precursor to having a stroke or having a heart attack is that you're impotent. So that means that, so that means like you're going to be, for example, if you're prone to having your heart, if you're prone to having if you're prone to having a heart attack, before you have it, you might have an adventurous sign before that, which is you're not able to have a solid erection without any meds. So that's not manly. If your wife wants you to sleep with her, right? Can I swear? Like if your wife wants you to fuck her right now and you can't, that's not very manly. That was not. So that's a second. That's a second thing. So just for example, if you know anybody in your life that had a stroke, if you know anybody in your life that had a heart attack, chances are they're impotent. Because if their heart attack, it's true. If you know somebody and they had a heart attack, well, he cannot get an erection probably because without Viagra, without Cialis, because if his heart vessel, which is quite bigger, is clogged, well, his dick is clogged too, and that's not manly. You agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. Well, they showed the thing in their Game Changers, didn't they, with that rigid scope with the athletes and the vegan athlete or the vegan meal, and that was from one meal, and they had like 13 to 15% larger erections and 500% more like nocturnal erections. Like, which man would not want that,
Yeah, that's a good point. And that was very surprising for me too, because really after a few meals like that,
that was one meal. That was one meal. That was a burrito they had before bed. So imagine a whole diet of it.
Imagine a lifetime of eating it. And the other part is basically a real man also is there to protect his family or protect his loved ones. Even if you don't have a family, protect your friends, protect the weaker ones. And what good are you if you're sick? What good are you if you're dead? The biggest killer in the world is not COVID. The biggest killer is cardiovascular problems and other things, obviously. But one of the biggest killers is cardiovascular diseases. And cardiovascular diseases are caused by many factors, inactivity, and obviously your diet, and fatty deposits are mainly caused by meat and so basically if you want to be there for your loved ones, if you want to be there for your loved one, if you want to be there for and the other one was the first one, if you want to be a symbol of manhood, if you want to be a superhero, basically. I think vegans are even if they're doing it for health reasons, they're helping the ethical part in the meanwhile. I think they're all superheroes. So I applaud you guys watching this. If you're thinking about switching, I applaud you. If you're already on a vegan diet, I applaud you even more, because you are a superhero in my book. And
What a speech. That was fantastic. Now, as we touched on earlier, you've become super passionate about animal rights now. So initially it was kind of health and sports performance, but now you really speak up for animals. I think it's super cool when a very capable fighter chooses to be compassionate and kind, because as a doorman, I saw many professional fighters, how they act in a club when they're a bit drunk, and they were not nice people, and I could not have respect for them. So when I see someone who can fight and they're super nice with it, I just love that. What has inspired you now to become so vocal about the animal rights aspect?
Great question. So what's funny is that I was never a big animal. I actually never had a domesticated animal. I never had any desires to have animals. I cannot say I was an animal lover, meaning that like I was not like, I didn't care about going to the zoo, like, which obviously is the opposite of an animal lover, but like I didn't care about animals. Yeah.
Animal prisons, we call them.
Exactly. But my point is I was never like some people I knew in my life were like, oh my God, I love dogs. I love cats. I love any kind of animals. I want a hamster. So I'm like, I didn't care. So it was quite funny when I became vegan and I became more in love and more passionate about the ethical aspect of veganism. It was very surprising to me. Like I found this I was neutral with animals. I did not hate them. I did not love them. I was just neutral. But now I renewed with that compassion, that innate compassion I have in my heart. I'm like, fuck, these are innocent animals. They didn't ask to be born, and they're being bred, and they already have their date of death when they're born, which is, I find it very cruel. Yes. And I saw these quotes, you cannot be an animal lover if you eat them. If you kill them, if you pay to kill them, if you pay to have somebody exploit them. So, and that resonated really well with me. I'm like, it's true. You can't. And I was always, when I turned vegan, it was at the beginning of, I think Australia was on fire. And I saw all these people care all of a sudden with koalas. I'm like, I actually made it. I said, how hypocrite are you to care about koalas when you're just eating a chicken with a burrito with fucking mayo, with milk, with eggs in it? Like you're literally a bunch of different animals in it, but you care about the cute ones. Yeah. Well, fuck you. You're a hypocrite, And so I really started to dig in that hypocrisy that we are born with, that we're taught basically, because we're taught to hate animals. We're taught to see them as objects, and it all started to deconstruct in my head. No, I don't want to be that, and I don't need that. So, and then I saw the system that I told you I hate. I saw the system that they don't want us to see that because of the billions of dollars they're making, because like the black slavery and, the Irish slavery back in the day, any slavery back in the days, it's way more profitable to exploit somebody without paying them. So having cows, big animals, big mammals like this, you don't have to pay them. You exploit them for their entire life. And then they give you a baby, which you can make veal parmigiana with. And then you can use the milk for that, all for free. It's like, oh my God, I can see why this industry, the dairy industry, doesn't want us to be compassionate towards a cow. And I can see why when you Google dairy cows on Google, it doesn't give you the atrocities that is. You don't see the fist in the anus of the cow. You see a beautiful dairy cow on a green pasture. Well, fuck you, dairy industry. So,
well said.
So does that answer your question? I saw how ugly this was
for yourself. And I think it's interesting that you just suddenly saw it. I did read an article somewhere. I think there was a bit of a study, and I don't know how well proven it is, but it was something to do with our gut bacteria. And when we have lots of these Bacteroides strains that eat animal protein, animal fats, apparently, because there's like a connection between our gut and brain, isn't there? And apparently somehow it seems as though they deaden our compassion, our empathy. And It's like they want you to keep eating animals. And so they're causing you to be less of a nice person. And that, I don't know that it's been proven, but that is looking like a big possibility, apparently. I don't know where I saw the study now, but it was a proper study.
Okay. So, well, overall, even if it does or not, the point is that most people are stuck in that mentality, and then they bombard us with publicity. Eat that double quarter pounds from McDonald's. Eat that thing. But it's changing, right? We're seeing all these big corps, the big food corps. They see if they don't make a vegan alternative, they don't make a plant-based burger or something, they're going to get left behind. And that's the biggest sign of a turnover, because what rules the world is money. And if we have big companies like Beyond Meat or whatever that are becoming big food corps themselves, well, man, that's the beginning of a reversal, I call it. And hopefully my dream of having a vegan world before I die might be possible,
We can only pray. I love it.
And if I may add, brother, like people are asking like, Well, it's not possible to have a vegan world right now. Well, I agree. Right now, there's some remote islands, there's some places in Myanmar, even like that they cannot potentially. It's a transition. Like they already have the land, they already have these animals. Though, if I would be the ruler of the world right now, I would be okay. Well, let's try to put all these animals into a sanctuary and let them, have a peaceful life until they're dead. Mm-hmm. And then we take that land and we grow crops instead, and and slowly but surely the world would become a plant-based word.
And we can rewild, like, what does it take, like a 16th of the land to make plant food versus feed animals? So we'd have like 15, 16, something like that, 17, 18. Most of the land we can rewild, we can have forests, we can sequester carbon dioxide. And
well said. I didn't think about that.
We can bring back all the species that we've lost. We've lost 60% of biodiversity, because of eating animals. So it can heal the world, man.
Absolutely. And just people know, they always come with that arguments. And even for me, they say, oh, well, what about the crop deaths? Well, if you truly care about animals, because if you're naming a crop death, that means you're talking about animal death. That means you care about that animal, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't think they do care. I think they're just pretending to care. But my point is, even if they do care, saying that argument is flawed, because there's actually a lot of studies that have mentioned crop deaths, and that comes from my friend James Wilkes. He's basically saying there's not as much crop deaths that we think, and even if there is, the best way to reduce these crop deaths is to stop eating meat, because we're talking about 40, like all the soy grown in the US, 98%, that's the actual statistics, 98% of the soy grown in the USA goes toward livestock feed. Yeah. So if you're telling me, if a non-vegan tells me, well, you're killing a lot of animals with your diet, well, you should stop. Well, 98% of these deaths, if they're whatever they are, of these deaths during crops, during cultivating, are going to animal feed. So if you stop animal feed, you stop majority of crop deaths, and actually I think it's not that much, but and again, in the vegan world that we're trying to implement, we would have slowly a more like approach of like everybody grows their food slowly, but we don't know. It's utopian, but it's going there.
Yeah, it really is. And that's a real own goal. If a carnist says, crop deaths, well, most crops are eaten by animals. So obviously you're about 98%. To go vegan, except they never do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And by the way, what's funny, brother, is that they say that all crop deaths, and they eat meat, which is there's death in the feed of these animals. There's death in the animal, and there's also vegetables in that plate. So they also have crop deaths with their vegetables. So they have deaths with the vegetables, death with the meat, and death of the animal with the meat. So like the most amount of death is with a carnist diet, an omnivore's diet. If you truly care about animals and you want to stop being a hypocrite and you want to stop, pretending to love animals, but you actually love only a few animals. You like the cute ones. You like dogs and cats. Well, if you want to stop being a hypocrite, stop eating meat.
Amen, brother. Amen. This has been really fascinating. I've really enjoyed this. Is there anything that we've not touched on today that you'd like to quickly chat about before we wrap up?
Well, I want to say thank you for that. It was it's very fun to see another athlete that I have looking at you, have no problem putting on muscle, and that's beautiful. And that's just breaking down barriers. So I want to thank you for with the name of all the vegan community around the world. If I may add, like you said, I just reminded me the thing I want people to understand is that the vegan diet is not a diet. It's plant-based, right? So I hate when people say I was a vegan for a year and I stopped. Yeah. I was a vegan you were not a vegan for a year. You were a plant-based for a year, because a vegan is a philosophy of life. And this is not, and so it's about like what causing as less harm as possible in your life. And I'm going to go further than that. A vegan in a self-defense scenario or a survival scenario, tell me if you agree, but a vegan with a philosophy causing as less harm as practically possible for your well-being, right? That means if we follow that philosophy in an apocalyptic scenario, a vegan would technically be able to kill an animal to survive. That's still vegan because it would be practically as less as possible.
You have to do your best is all. It's not all or nothing. It's just do your best. And I think,
exactly. And how can you be, how more noble is it? Sorry, I'll rephrase that. How noble is it to say, look, I'm going to try my best to do as much good as I can in my life. That's it. It's as simple as that. And yes, there might be some crop deaths in my food, stuff like that. But let me 1 second. I just have to, 1 second.
No worries.
1 second, brother. I have,
no worries.
I have to let you go. I have a big delivery here, but I think we wrapped it up.
I think that was right. Just very quickly, if people want to find out about you or Lethwei, what are your social media handles and website?
Okay, so you can go on King Leduc on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. It's King Leduc, and we're gonna connect and make the world a better world.
Fantastic.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Thank you. And on behalf of the people, the planet, and the animals, thank you so much for everything.
Can I see a double?
Yes. Goddamn cobra traps.
All right.
Be well, brother. See you again. Thank you so much.